Picture it, Los Angeles, 2025.
Oh, hi, and welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever going to need to listen to. I'm HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we're doing a Beyond Golden Girls episode where we cover the many film and TV projects that the women did outside of the Golden Girls during the course of their illustrious careers. And today we are diving into Betty White's appearance in the 2003 comedy Bringing Down the House.
There was this one person on Survivor last season. His name's Kevin. He's become a friend of
Oh,
mine.
wow. We are off the rails.
Yeah.
And I thought you were maybe going to introduce our guest, but go on.
Now, before we get to the guest, and every single time you say, we dive into another whatever, you don't say it like Bea Arthur, I just did. But the way this contestant dived on Survivor last season, he folded himself over and then went head first into it went viral. It was one of the funniest dives you'll ever see in your life. And now every time you say dive, I think of that dive whenever that you say that.
I really hope this is someone's very first time listening to the podcast and they're like, what does this have to do with Betty White?
I hope like longtime listeners find it endearing that I am because I don't get many opportunities to be unhinged in my life. I'll say that. Most of the time I have to follow a script and I have to follow a set of questions and there's an organized thing in my life. This is the one area, this and my drag are the two areas of my life that I can be completely unhinged, and I value this space for my unhingery, and I thank you so much.
I mean, your tangents at this point, 10 years later, are memorable, are expected. You are nothing if not consistent. I will give you that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this, my outlet. No, our guest. Do you have anything about the Rusty Anchor? Do you want to say anything about the Rusty Anchor?
I will say the Rusty Anchor happy hour. So we are recording this probably a week or two before it airs. So the Rusty Anchor happy hour, it's a surprise bag. It's like, when you go to the grocery store, because I didn't have anything planned. When you go to the grocery store and you go to those little things you put a quarter in and you don't know if you're going to get like a gumball or one of those like sticky hands
or
that gets
you could say you don't know
10
what
seconds.
La Boo Boo you're going to get when you open up it's a
you
mystery.
Don't know what La Boo Boo you're going to get, just like last time's Rusty Anchor happy hour. So it's a surprise bag. So if you're thinking about joining because you're like, I need to solve the mystery, I need to figure it out, head on over to patreon.com/.
Can I just say, those are some of my favorite Rusty Anchor happy hours. The mystery ones, the unhinged ones, the ones where we don't know what direction it's going to go in. Because just like we were just talking about my unhinged tangentiary situations that I go on this podcast, those are my favorite Rusty Anchor happy hours. And I'll tell you this right now, because you just said mystery, now I'm thinking of that Missing Amy documentary on Netflix. And that's what I'm going to want to talk about on the Rusty Anchor happy hour. Have you seen it? The one who fell off, or possibly not, the cruise ship in the late 90s, and they have a whole documentary on it now.
I don't have Netflix. I feel like we talked about this.
That's right, we did. Yeah, you're gonna want this case though. This case.
Okay.
It's a fascinating case. So we'll talk about it on the rest.
Before we get into our guest, this is my last little tangent. I do need to not correct the record, but I have to stick an addendum onto something that I said in the last episode, which was I've gotten a lot of very funny comments, especially on the Patreon, about my story about little Oreo.
Wait, before you say that, did you announce on the podcast? Because we only announced it on, I think, the Patreon, the situation in your life.
I think we announced it last week, didn't we?
I don't believe we did. Did we?
I
don't remember
did.
now. We'll say it again just in case.
Oh, gosh. Okay. We're having tangents within tangents. Like, this is like Jacob's ladder. What is happening?
I don't think we did. Maybe we did.
Okay. If we didn't, I think that we did. But if we didn't, yes, Stan and I are with child. Stan and I are going to be adding little Oreo's going to be a big Oreo.
Being said again. It deserves being said again.
Yes, I'm very pregnant.
Another little Oreo.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I can't wait for, and actually I think you and I did like a little Winky episode because Stan and we had made these embryos years ago and we did IVF because we were like, these are great embryos, let's just use them. So I think the week that Stan and I did the IVF transfer, I think was the week that we recorded or released the one where it was either no, it wasn't Blanche delivers, it was the inaccurate conception.
Oh, wow.
That was like you and me. You and me had a little winky joke. Yeah.
Wow.
Where I was like, we did the transfer, so let's watch that episode.
God. So go back and listen,
and
you'll
sharing that with the Golden Girls community without yet being ready to tell everyone. Okay, so tangent within a tangent, but
yes.
I need to quickly again correct a little addendum to a story I told last week on the podcast, which I'm pretty sure I told on the main podcast. Did I? Now I can't remember. Did I tell everybody on the main? I'm losing track. It's
all a blur.
I believe I said it on the main podcast where Stan was giving little Oreo a bath and they were like playfully ribbing each other. And she said, how about I punch you in your fucking face? What would you think about that?
And like, literally the funniest thing I've heard in weeks.
And then afterwards I was like, I felt like a bad parent because I was like, God, like what did I teach my child? So I just want to correct the record. Here's how she heard that and repeated it. So little Oreo, every once in a while, she likes to take our phones and she likes to watch videos of herself.
Oh, God.
It's really cute. And Stan uses his phone to do self-tape auditions that he sends in. And he had done an audition, I think, for a movie. And in it, he's like a tough guy, you know, like Italian guy, whatever. And he gets into a fight with somebody. And in the audition, on the self-tape, he says, how about I punch you in your fucking face? What would you think about that? So little Oreo must have watched it. Because when I told Stan this, I was like, where did you even hear it? And he was like, my self-tape. So anyway, Stan and I aren't just walking around talking to each other like that in case anybody was like...
How about I punch you in your fucking face, Stan?
Yeah, in case anybody's like, do we need to make a call to Child
that's
Protective
so
Services?
funny.
Anyway, so she watched his self-tape, and I guess she thought it was so funny that she just kept watching it, and then... I mean,
that would be funny. I actually want to see that self-tape now. If you could please text it to me.
Maybe. I have to ask Stan first. But anyway, so I just wanted to clarify that is where... she, in fact, heard the phrase, how about I punch you in your fucking face? What would you think about that?
I need to see that tape badly. So
okay.
I'll tell you one thing that I don't want to do. I don't want to punch our guest in their fucking face because they were fantastic. Thank you. I'm a professional at this point. Yes, our guest today is the one, the only, Mr. Adam Shankman. Now, Adam is you may if you're like me, you know his name, but if you don't, you have seen many of Adam's movies.
You know his work.
The Wedding Planner. We're talking Hairspray. He's been a director on Only Murders in the Building. He directed that fantastic episode where Meryl Streep sang. He is just one of those directors that just gives us the things, you know, the movies and the whatever that become sort of the vocabulary of our identities, like in such a beautiful, wonderful way. The rom-coms, the comedies, all of the things. And Adam and I have been sort of internet friends, and we're mutual friends because we share a very good friend in common that we all are friends with, Miss Alaska Thunderfuck. And so Adam directed Miss Betty White in Bringing Down the House. Now, when I and Adam and I had talked for a while about Adam being on the podcast because he directed Betty White, and I was like, that would be fantastic to hear your stories about directing Betty White. And as I was putting this together, and Adam and I were texting, Adam was like, well, you know, I grew up with Bea Arthur's son, and I have stories about Rue McClanahan and all that. And I was like, wait, Adam, you have this treasure trove of information about the girls. How have you not told this to me? And now it can't just be about Bringing Down the House. It has to be about basically your Hollywood childhood and everything that you've experienced over the course of your life. So that's exactly what we talked about today. We started with Bringing Down the House, but then we went into the Bea Arthur stories, the Rue McClanahan stories. He doesn't have any about Estelle Getty because he didn't really know Estelle Getty that well, but he knew the other girl, or he had met the other girls. He had encounters with the other girls. He actually knew Betty White and Bea Arthur very, very well.
Yeah, and yeah, I love his story about Bea. It is a really funny story. And then with Betty, as you'll hear in the interview, he talks about getting her for the role,
Yeah.
some scenes that she shot that had been cut. And it's really just really fun to hear stories from people who have worked with the girls. And I feel like for the most part, they always had such a fun, lovely experience. And especially with Betty, it sounds like Betty was literally up for anything. Was just like, yep, I'll do it. This is funny.
There's a story he told, which you'll hear later on in the episode. There's a story he told about how Betty came into quote unquote read for the part that I'm still thinking about to this
Mm-hmm.
day, because there was a little bit of confusion between Betty and Adam on
Yeah.
that. And it's just going to make you love Betty White way more than you even do now, which is like almost impossible because our bodies are completely filled with love for Betty White.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
it's
before we get into our interview, we are going to talk a little bit about the movie. We're going to play Betty's intro in the movie. So it will be a little bit of a shorter kind of recap of the movie because we do have a lot
yeah.
of really great, we have so much great conversation with Adam.
Well, should we take a break and then talk about bringing down the house before we get into our chat with Mr. Adam Shankman?
Yes.
Okay, we'll be right back. Bye.
So, if you haven't seen it, but I feel like probably most of you have, Bringing Down the House is a 2003 comedy. Here is the IMDb description. When a lonely guy meets a woman on the internet who happens to be in prison, she breaks out to get him to prove her innocence and proceeds to wreak havoc on his middle class life. This cast is insane, right? You've got Steve Martin, you've got Gene Smart, Queen Latifah, Joan Plowright, Betty White, the little boy from Two and a Half Men, Michael Rosenbaum in a wig. Like this cast is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean it is like a comedy dream in a
And
way.
Betty White, so she plays Mrs. Klein, who is the sister of Steve Martin's boss. She also happens to live across the street from him. She's like one of those neighbors who's always outside, like tending her garden and just loves to involve herself in everybody's business, in the
Uh-huh.
neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, she in this film, and I love how Adam describes the process of this character and everything around this character, but she is actually perfect casting in this film, don't you
She's,
think?
I think if she were a Golden Girls character, she'd be like part Frida Claxton because she's like all up in other people's business, but also like Barbara Thorndike
Yeah,
because
totally.
I know, and I know you'll talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about that. So this film is complicated, and Adam is very upfront in talking about that too. That, if this film was made today, it probably wouldn't be made today, but also Adam would not be the person to direct it, because Adam does describe this film as, a race comedy, in that it's a film that often and does very literally play on stereotypes of both black people, of white people, but it sometimes is at the expense of some people. And there is a smart message in the film that if you look really close, if you look closely, not even look closely, if you watch it, you'll see that like a lot of the racist people in the film, including Betty White, are made to look ridiculous, are
Hmm.
made to look out of touch, are made to look like the arrogant or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
And that's intentional. And Adam even talks about that. But I do want to talk a little bit about sort of, the nature of this film. And we should say up top, like, you and I are both white. Adam is a white person. Like, this is not necessarily the impact that this film might have on certain audiences. We can't necessarily speak to. What we can do is we can listen to people and hear what they have to say about comedies like this. And Adam even shares what like Queen Latifah thought
Hmm.
about certain parts of the film and whatnot. And so it is our job to listen, because that really is what we should be doing more of these days, is just listening to people and how they feel about something. And if we maybe liked something and they felt maybe uncomfortable with it because of XYZ reason that was cultural impact in their lives, you listen to that, you accept that, and you try to take it in. And so we talk about this film with respect to Adam, with respect to Betty, with respect to the talent involved, but also with the understanding that there are sometimes very complicated feelings about films like this. And if you, our listeners, want to like comment and send us messages, we're very, very open to that. And your own thoughts about this film and sort of like how you perceive it and what you think about it, and particularly what you think about Betty White's role in it, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's all good stuff to say. And I think even in our conversation, Adam was saying that he worked a lot with Queen Latifah and took a lot of her feedback, and it was like really a collaborative process. And he was even back in, 2002, 2003 when they were making it, he was very, very aware of that. So
Yeah. So and I think Adam is correct. It wouldn't be made today in the way that it's made, particularly even by the team that made it. But it also, I think Adam did a very good job in sort of how he navigated a film like this. And Betty, the fact that, and one of the things that stands out to me from our conversation with Adam is that Betty's character, let's talk a little bit about Betty's character in this film. So she is that neighbor who is the Frida Claxton of the neighborhood, who is nosy and is racist. Let's just be real. She's arrogant and ignorantly racist in a way that is not overtly racist. It's sort of like the type of character that she's racist in the assumptions that she has about certain types of people in the neighborhood. She wouldn't necessarily come out and be, the horrible racist. I mean, racism comes in lots of different forms. Let's just be real. But she is sort of the rich lady racist, if you will, that talks about those people and says the things about the people in the neighborhood who are hanging around the house or whatever it is, and very nosy racist neighbor. And Betty White playing that. I told this during our chat with Adam, but to me, it's sort of like we have this image of Betty White as such like a wholesome, loving, funny, silly woman who we love so much. And the fact that she was willing to do this kind of role to sort of prove a point in a way is kind of wonderful. And it's someone, only Betty White could do a role like this and make it so that you get the message while at the same time you don't so you don't end up hating Betty White.
Yeah, and I think, she definitely has some endearing qualities as well, but and I think a lot of it is just in her delivery, just because she delivers everything with like a hi, how are you today? You know what I mean? So it is a little,
it's off-putting.
It's off-putting.
It's very much the white people in Get Out in a lot of ways. The Jordan Peele film Get Out, where a lot of the white people are made to seem nice, but there's something about them. There's just something about them that is not quite right, but yet they're nice. And that's kind of Betty White in a more funny way, but that's kind of Betty White in this film. She's sort of that template.
I think that we can, out of all the scenes that she was in, I think her intro scene really encapsulates that everything that you just said about her character. So I think we should play it. And then I also do want to talk about her outfits because
oh my God, yes, I'm dying to.
Yeah. So, but let's play the clip so people can get an idea of what they also dressed her in.
Hello, Mr. Sanderson.
Oh, Mrs. Klein, always a pleasure.
And when am I going to get to babysit with your charming little Georgie again?
Oh, soon, because he just loves coming over to your place.
Mr. Sanderson, those Latin people who were skulking around.
Oh, they were looking at the Aruda house.
Casing it?
No, to buy it.
Oh, please. If they're in this block and not carrying a leaf blower,
Yeah, well, I'd love to discuss this with you further, but I'm expecting someone.
And when he walks off, she's just sort of like, okay, yeah.
Okay, bye. We are all Steve Martin in that moment where we go like, yes. See ya. Cause
yes, it is. And you know what? To me, what I love about that exchange is that is something that I think a lot of white people have with other white people, where you think one thing, and then all of a sudden they say something and you're like, oh, okay. Bye, just bye.
Yeah.
I'm just bye. Like with a lot of our parents, grandparents generation, etc. Like there's some of that where it's just like, no, you shouldn't. That's not right. You shouldn't say that. No.
Yeah.
And Betty White is that in this film.
That is every scene with Betty White.
Yeah.
So her outfits, they were all these like silky floral, like I don't want to call them muumuus, but they were like,
some of them they were caftans.
Yeah.
There was a lot of caftans, silk caftans. And she looks so good. Her
She looks
makeup is
so
right. Her
good.
hair is right. All of the things are right. Her body is right. She is just like out here being a grande dame, a racist grande dame, but a grande dame who's just sort of like walking around the neighborhood, being that lady in the neighborhood.
And all of the floral prints that she wore, I could have seen all of those on like a Blanche Devereaux nightgown.
Yep. Which just goes to show you, again, the brilliance of Betty White, that she can kind of exude. I mean, we've in film, and we talked about this with Adam too, but in film, we've seen Betty White be a little naughty or do some things that like go against the stereotype that you have maybe of Betty White, like in Lake Placid.
Lake Placid. We talked about Lake Placid.
Yeah, when she says like, what does she say? If I had a dick, this is where I tell you to suck it. Like, and the thing about using, and Adam does this with Betty in this film and also in that film as well, like you use the stereotype of Betty White to sort of shock people with those moments, you know?
Yeah, especially coming off of the Golden Girls, maybe with Sue Ann Nivens, they would have expected it a little bit more. But yeah, when you're like, oh, that is Rose Nyland saying those things, it is quite shocking. I did want to ask you, so if you were in her character's position, like let's say you're older, you live alone, you don't leave the house much, what kind of neighbor would you be?
Oh, see, I'm not a confrontational neighbor, nor am I someone who likes to get to know my neighbors very well. So I don't think I would be as communicative as Betty White's character is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would be engaged in the community as much as her character is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you would be that house where people would be like, as they're like showing people around, they'd be like,
I'm Boo Radley.
Yeah, they'd be like, and I don't quite know who lives there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a funny, odd fella. I can't quite. Yeah, so it would be that. It would be
has these things called la boo boos.
Sometimes I look in the window and all I see are dolls. But okay, so that would be. So yours would be like
what about you?
Old lady Hickenlooper. Like there's something. There's like a story when kids pass by on bikes. There's a story about the folk tale about the person that lives in the house.
What about you?
I feel like I would
be the neighborhood president. Honestly, you'd be the city council president or like whatever it is. Like I'd
be in charge of neighborhood watch. I would do whatever I could to make friends and get people to like me and adore me so that when I got so old that people in the neighborhood would like bring me stuff and help me fix clean the gutters and like invite me over for Thanksgiving.
This is what I always say, because like a lot of like my friends, Michael's friends, like in general friends, they are younger than me. They're sometimes significantly younger, like 10 years younger, which is crazy because I'm only 28. But like, they're younger than me. And for me, while I love these friends very, very much, I also see the benefit of my senior years because they will still be younger than me and they'll be able to do things. And then by the time they're old, I'm dead.
I mean, why do you think I had a kid? It was literally just to have somebody to take care of me when I get old.
Honestly.
No.
And you know what? No, it's not. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea.
You know what, though? There's a woman in our neighborhood. Same thing. She's single. She lives alone. She is an older woman. And everybody in the neighborhood checks in on her, takes care of her, brings her food. And she's so sweet. She's always like giving little Oreo, like little gifts when we stop by. She's always out walking her dog with her little cane. But like the neighborhood, like, watches out for her. It's really sweet. And I want to be that type of person who like, and I also just feel like I'd want to have a sense of community,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Especially if I don't leave home much.
Do you want to break down what happens to Betty in this film? Because like, I feel like I want to get to the chat with Adam very much because I'm sure people are like very eager.
Well, I feel like with Betty, it's sort of a series of like misunderstandings where, like,
Did anything stand out to you?
The moment where Betty and the little boy from 2.5 Men, Georgie, she has him come over to her house for her poker nights, which I think is really funny. And she is bringing him back home, and Steve Martin and Queen Latifah so Steve Martin is trying to get back with his ex-wife, Jean Smart.
Love her.
And, Queen Latifah's like, you got to spice things up with her. And they start getting into this like kind of playful, kind of like role play. And Betty White walks in with a little Georgie, and her reaction is just wild. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's one of my favorites too. Yeah. I mean, she's not like a pivotal, I wouldn't say, character in this film, but she does add color to the film and to the characters.
In really inopportune times for Steve Martin. Like anytime, like there's one time where him and Queen Latifah are like, he's like basically like, I'm not gonna help you, and she's out on the lawn and she's like yelling out on the lawn and throwing things and making it seem like he fathered her baby, and Betty White comes out, and it is fun when Queen Latifah is able to use Betty White to kind of get back at Steve Martin. Like that's a fun moment. But
also,
yeah.
How has Steve Martin been middle-aged for the past 50 years?
I don't know. I was thinking that. I was like, wow, he really has kind of looked the same age for a while. He's Paul Rudd with white hair. Yeah.
He is kind of. You're right. Wow. He's the Anderson Cooper of comedians.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I love when we're just throwing out names of people who don't age.
Well,
one other thing I do want to say before we get to the chat. The golden girl in this movie, I mean, obviously aside from Betty White, is Joan Plowright.
Truly. I mean,
she is. It's so funny because I'm like everybody knows her.
Icon of British cinema and stage.
Yes, an absolute icon. Or if you're like me and you're just a little bit more lame, you know her from Dennis the Menace, the movie.
Wasn't she also in? Or maybe am I confusing this? Was she in 101 Dalmatians too?
Oh, I don't know.
I think she might have been. I'm going to Google that. But yeah, no, she has. Joan Plowright is actually, not only was she married to the great Laurence Olivier. Yeah, she was in 101 Dalmatians.
Okay.
But she also is just an icon. I mean, she's like an acting legend, like BFFs with Judi Dench and Maggie Smith. I mean, there's that documentary that came out, I forget where, maybe BBC or something, on her, Judi Dench, Maggie Smith, and there's someone else, and I'm
all
blanking.
dames.
And they're all just talking about their careers and stuff. It's Joan Plowright is kind of incredible.
There's also a really great scene in the movie. I also forgot to mention Eugene Levy's in this movie. I'm telling you, like A-listers across the board. So Eugene Levy and Queen Latifah take her hostage and they bring her to a club and she gets high and dances on the bar.
Yep.
That was a really funny scene for me too.
Joan Plowright is just, I wonder,
it was a joy.
We didn't ask this of Adam, but I wonder if like there was ever a moment where he was like, maybe Betty could play Joan's part. Like maybe they could swap. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Well, should we get to our chat with Adam?
Yes, let's get to our chat with Adam. And then after that, we'll come back with golden takeaways.
I love it. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. Oh my God, Adam Shankman. I can't tell you how much your work has become the vocabulary of even my life. From, let's talk about it, of course, Bringing Down the House, but then also The Wedding Planner, Hairspray. I mean, your episode of Only Murders in the Building, when Meryl Streep sang, it literally lives rent-free in my brain. Like, Adam, you are a gay oracle. How are you?
I'll take it. I'm very, very well. Those words and sentiments are far too kind. I am just finishing up a movie that I just made, and I'm in Los Angeles and getting ready to start another project. And but when you made this offer, I was thrilled to accept.
Well, I've been wanting it for a while, and our mutual friend, and we're on Alaska's network, so she's also kind of our boss too, Alaska Thunderfuck, because we're a part of Mom. Her and I, we've all been friends for a long time, and she has spoken so kindly of you over the years, and like just how kind of brilliant you are, which we already know that, but I'm telling you that now too from her.
Oh yeah, that makes me feel amazing, because I'm such a huge, I mean, besides the friend thing that happened was, magical and kismet there, but I came to know Alaska originally because I was a huge fan, and I was like, I think you may be one of the best people that came off of Drag Race, and I need to meet you and I'd like to work with you. And I think that Alaska is an incredibly special talent, and so and has been an extraordinary friend. So I love that we both share that.
And that now we're able, like Kerri and I are both able to meet you through Alaska and this love of the Golden Girls. So, Kerri, I want to ask you, what is your relationship with Bringing Down the House, and what was your reaction to? I mean, because Adam has stories, but I want to prep you, Kerri, for the stories that are about to come from Adam's mouth on not only Betty but also Bea and Rue, right, Adam?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I have life interactions with yeah, all the above.
Kerri, are you prepared?
I'm prepared. I didn't know up until about 10 minutes ago that you had Rue and Bee stories as well, which I'm very, very excited
I
about.
kept it secret, Adam. I kept it
Well,
secret.
I mean, I hope that they don't fail you because it's not like they're so in depth, but I did get to spend um, some time, in their company. And well, let's start with if you want to know sort of the tea on my relationship with Betty,
Yes.
which
Oh, we must.
was extremely meaningful. When I was making Bringing Down the House, which is, by the way, a movie that could never get made today,
No.
and certainly I could not make it. And it is such a very specific kind of race comedy, but a lot of what was really important to me in there was that, like we were saying, like the racists in the movie are utter buffoons,
Yeah.
but we need to look at these buffoons as people that we feel like we see in the world. And when we were putting together the cast, I kept saying to Vicky Thomas, who was the casting director, I was like, for this horrible across the street neighbor, like what was most important to me also in those racial commentary was also that there be a feeling of like these people are from a different world. They're older and they're like they just don't understand. Because if they were just like total abominations, I think it wouldn't have landed in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So what I said is I want somebody to play that role that's like just a horrible racist, but coming to you with a plate of cookies. And I said, she's Sue Ann Niven. It's Betty White. I said, I need a Betty White type.
Mm-hmm.
And so we scoured and I looked at people and I read all these people, excuse me, and I was like beating my head against a wall and we couldn't find the perfect person. And Vicky called me one day and she goes, why don't we ask Betty White? And I said, oh, why would she ever do this? Now, I had met Betty White when I was a child because my father, who was a manager, a Hollywood manager, managed Ted Knight and Gavin MacLeod during my Tyler Moore years, and I grew up on the set of Mary Tyler Moore. And so
Adam, you can't say something like that and not expect, homosexuals get really excited across the country.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. Like I remember, like Ed Asner sitting me on his knee and saying, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I
You're
said,
the original kid from Up.
I ish. I'll take it. And him saying, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I think I want to be an actor. And I think I was probably all of 7 years old.
Wow.
He said, acting is the most noble of professions. And I was like, that's so. Yeah. I'm not sure that's true, but it's tough to believe not so much. Yeah. But it is when it's in its most honest pursuit. It just absolutely thrilled me to be able to be on there. And also he had my dad represented people on the show Soap. So I was like, I kind of bounced between those shows when I was growing up. Anyway,
wow.
So I had met Betty when I was a kid and I had this kind of like, it was too iconic. She's too big in my mind. She was too important. She was too legendary. And even though I knew that I was working at that point with Steve Martin and Queen Latifah and Joan Plowright, that was another crazy.
Oh my gosh!
Jean Smart.
What? And
I know Jean Smart, Eugene Levy, Joan Plowright was the golden girl of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Joan Plowright. I was like, is that too far out to want Joan Plowright.
Wasn't she married to Laurence Olivier? I
But
mean,
she's Lady Olivier,
come on.
It was
She's
like
royalty.
she's royalty. So anyway, so it was all feeling too much to me, and Vicky said, "Why don't I just ask about Betty?" And so I said, "Okay." And we got word back that she would love to meet with me and was so interested, and I was panic stricken. I was like, oh my God, what is this going to be like? It's not going to be like any other audition I've ever held, or it's not like that. And it's because I'm not going to audition her. I'm going to like, I thought it was understood that in contacting her, it was like, will you do this part? Anyway, so the day comes and I'm in my little office. I believe it was at Disney. And my assistant buzzes like Betty White is here, and I'm just apoplectic. And I was like, okay, breathe, breathe, breathe. And she walked in, and I dropped to my knees.
Oh.
I was like, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. She just was like, oh my God, get up, get up, get up. And I got up, and she gave me a hug, and she sat down, and she was holding all these papers. I said, what are those? And she said, they're my sides. And I said,
She came in thinking she was going to read?
she thought she was going to read. And so she'd prepared an audition.
Oh my God, Adam.
Betty, you're not auditioning. This is me asking you, like begging you to do the movie. And she was like, this is the greatest day of my life.
Oh.
She was like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. Of course, I'd love to. I'd love to. And so hence began that little love affair that we had. And, Betty was so eager and willing to do whatever bullshit I asked her to do. And I ended up having to cut a bunch of stuff of hers out of the movie because it went past over the line. And, but she went at it full force, did everything. Yeah. And like, she didn't do anything that she wasn't asked with that was bad. Like, I was like, maybe let's try this. And she did it. And I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, we can't do that. It was like,
is there anything that you can tell us that you remember that was cut? Because that was going to be one of my questions was, did all of Betty's scenes make it in, or was some stuff cut?
There was one scene of hers that was cut because she's seeing all of Latifah's crowd outside of the house after he gets thrown in the swimming pool. And he comes over and he's trying to explain to her what happened. And I can't remember the excuse that he made. And she said something to the effect of, well, of course, that's why God invented prison. And I just was like, oh yeah, we can't. Yeah, this is too much. But the one thing that was actually the biggest laugh in the preview, which we couldn't use because of the way that the language was crafted, was, in a PG-13 movie, you are allowed to have one use of the word fuck. Yeah. And am I allowed to say that on this?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. It's Alaska's network. You could say anything.
Right. So fuck that. So there's one use of the word fuck. And so I thought, I found my spot. So the moment when Steve and Latifah are having that drunken simulated sex scene on his couch and she walks in with the little kid, what I had her say in one take, which I used in our test screening, was she gasped and yelled, "Sweet black motherfucker." And it got the biggest laugh
in course it did.
Screening. And then Disney came to me and said, we know, but you can't say motherfucker.
Oh.
You can't say fuck. You can't say fucker.
Wow.
In front of it. So
the S&P is real. They're real nitty gritty
it was a narrow lane, and I missed it. So
wow,
that was rough.
We have in the history of Betty White. What was the alligator movie? I forget the name of it.
Lake Placid.
Lake Placid. Thank you. Where she said, "If I had a dick, this is where I'd tell you to suck it." I mean, so
yeah. She was. She didn't care.
Yeah.
She gave no fucks. It was like she was just like, whatever's going to get a laugh, you tell me. I'll do it to the best of my ability. I mean, she was laughing when I would do that. But like what is in the movie is like she calls the kid a fag. Like
Yeah, yeah. You know, can I say, I do want to say one thing that because there are sensitivities, of course, around Bringing the House and films like that because it was a different era and we've evolved since then. Just like with the Golden Girls and some episodes of the Golden Girls, like some of the humor sometimes is not what it would be today because we have evolved and learned.
it's my favorite episode.
Which one?
The Mud Masks.
Mixed Blessings?
Yes.
I mean, that's probably the most discussed in the annals of,
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I mean, Mixed Blessings is when I'm very clear that everything I know about comedy I learned from Golden Girls and Mary Tyler Moore, frankly. But that moment is one of the best things that's ever been put on television.
And the conversation that it inspired at that time when a lot of the drama around that episode happened in most recent years, I think actually was so healthy for the Golden Girls community and for television fans in general, because if anything, if we listen to, and there is a very large, I mean, I know this from TV Land, there's a massive audience, Black audience of the Golden Girls, a demo that watches it regularly. And we know it from great podcasts like, So Good We Named It. I mean, we know this from Black Golden Girls fans. Black Blanche is a great sort of impersonator of Blanche. We know that, like, we should be listening to those conversations and why that episode is such a gem of an episode and the conversations that it starts, just like what you said.
Well, it's all context. And also, like, I would have to say, and I have this experience also, like when we were testing Bringing Down the House, and frankly, Hairspray as well, which was also a race comedy, which is that the Black audiences I found appreciated all of that humor way more than the white audience felt ashamed. And the Black audience, like the scene where in Bringing Down the House where Joan Plowright sings the Negro Spiritual was one of the biggest moments for those audience that they love more than ever. And you just saw white audiences shrinking. And,
Oh, I was shrinking. I rewatched it and I was like, oh God, I forgot about this scene. I
feel like and I feel like, I
horrifying.
I just interviewed Mark Maron for his new comedy special that's coming out, and there's something that he says in it that it'll be out by the time this comes out, but there's something that he says in it that progressives are a buzzkill, that like there is this idea of if we listen more, maybe we'll be a little bit less of a buzzkill because maybe we can if we just shut up and listen to how others are responding to these things, maybe we don't need to have these.
Well, it's like I don't want a mirror. I don't want a mirror. I just want it gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
it doesn't go away. I think everything in the country, everything in the world right now is telling us it's not gone away. So it doesn't just because you want it. It's like going like, if I ignore my cancer, if I never say the word cancer, cancer doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. But to Betty's involvement in Bringing Down the House, I do want to say one thing that I keep thinking about when I watched it, and I've watched it a few times over the years, is that like, now this is a dramatic comparison, so please just stay with me, but like, just like how in the docu-film, I should say, Roots, that they used actors that played loving dads, the Brady Bunch dad, Ed Asner, that they played wholesome people on television, and the directors and the creatives behind Roots intentionally used those actors to play slave owners in order to send a message. I think it also shows something of Betty White feeling like she's not worried about her image, and that maybe if she plays this complicated racist character in a film, maybe it'll be a mirror to other people to say,
that was the intention. We talked about it. I was like, you need to be as well-intended as possible. You need to feel incredibly right about your position and not feel in any way any kind of shame. Like,
play that Karen. She's a Karen.
You have to just play that.
And I think it speaks to the bravery of like Betty White to play a character like that she knew she could convey.
Oh, by the way, same with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
She really, really like, woof, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And especially because her daughter is mixed race. Yeah. And she had a long talk with Claudia about it before she did it and before she agreed to do it, because she really wanted to do it, but she didn't know how she was gonna like, because it's so not her that it
Yeah.
was. And the same with Betty. Like Betty doesn't have a racist bone in her body. Like
Yeah.
so, or didn't. Forgive me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God rest her soul.
Yeah.
I know we're all still in denial about it.
Yeah, we are.
I'm 100%. She still lives with me rent free every day.
Every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't see Betty White on a television screen.
And so I I really admired and respected everybody who chose to be in that movie because it all felt like kind of bravery to me. But everybody knew that my intention was like, oh no, we're making everybody look like a freaking fool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked. You did. You did a great job at that, Adam. Mr. Hollywood, to me now you're Mr. Hollywood because you have, I love the face. You're like, no, I'm not, but you are. I mean,
the pictures behind me of
I mean, they're gonna see it. They're gonna see it. But so I do. You also, when you and I have an active DM, and in our active DM, one of the things that you spilled. Now, I didn't know. I assumed because your career is your career and you're incredible. I assumed you probably ran into a Rue McClanahan or a Bea Arthur along the way, but you actually grew up with Bea Arthur's son, right? You were friends.
Matt Sachs, and I went to high school together. It was like a neighborhood thing, and he was friends with a lot of people that I knew. I mean, we were just in proximity to each other so much, and I really, really love Matt. He's a great kid, and I hope he's doing well. I don't know what's going on with him.
I think he's doing well.
Yeah.
We don't. Okay. I mean, we're not texting a lot,
I just haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah.
But his dad was the great Gene Sachs, and his mom was Bea Arthur, and so I would just have these moments. Now, my actual introduction to knowing who Bea Arthur was I'm not sure which chicken and egg came first. I would imagine it was All in the Family, and then it went to Maude, and then I was like a crazy Maude person. And then what really probably one of the most formative moments of me basically knowing I was gay was seeing Mame with Lucille Ball.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Lucille Ball and B and going like, that's me up there. I want to wear that fox morning outfit.
Wait, which one did you want to be? Did you want to be Lucille Ball? Did you want to be Bea Arthur?
No, I kind of wanted to be a mix because I love the Lucille Ball's, live kind of a vibe. But I had more of the kind of asceticism of Vera.
Yeah, same. I always know every time I watch
carried
that,
down the steps.
Yep, that's me. That's fully me. People hold my bags. Like that's fully me. I'm Vera in real life. Yeah.
So it's that crazy hat she wears in Bosom Buddies with that black. It's so amazing. Anyway,
so when did you meet Bea?
Oh, it would have been in junior high school.
How? Was she barefoot? Did she offer you vodka?
No, neither.
Was she watching Jeopardy?
It was at the house. It was at their house. And she was just like, hi, kids, and talked to Matt for a second and toddled off. And I was just like...
What was that? Growing up in Hollywood.
You know why? Because I didn't realize she was his mom. That's what it was. I didn't know she was his mom. So when we went over to his house and she walked out, I was like, fuck. It was like,
how often did that happen to you? Being it's so rare in Los Angeles to meet someone born and raised in Los Angeles. How often did that happen to you in Los Angeles growing up?
Well, I was raised on the mean streets of Brentwood, so there was murders around there.
One very famous.
Yeah. And my dad was in the business and showbiz. So to quote the great Murray Hill. And I had a lot of proximity to a lot of famous people when I was growing up, although my dad was one of those people who didn't want that around the kids so much.
Mm.
I never quite understood who was around and growing up, but like what, I have I have a picture of me at 8 or 9 years old sitting in pajamas with Linda Carter's like holding me sitting on my bed, and what's brilliant about it is like her boob is falling out of her shirt. Like it's like it was in the height of the Wonder Woman thing, and
Wow.
and I remember there was like Sister Sledge and Taste of Honey were over at the house, and Bob Dylan, and but
Wow.
I but it was also like I'd had such a vague consciousness of it
Yeah.
that I mostly kind of tapped into this is what's going on when I started going to the sets of the TV shows,
Mm.
because I would watch the TV shows and then suddenly I was there. And then I was like, wow, like that was cool. But it was like, but to be honest, there were a lot of famous people kind of around where I grew up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and so I mean, but again, I wasn't overly conscious of it. Like I think when I was that age, I wanted to be a little child. Okay, so my dad ended up producing a variety special for Ted Knight called the Ted Knight Musical Comedy Variety Special with that was some one-off thing on CBS, I think.
Yeah.
And it was Ted Knight hosting a bunch of, celebrity guests and all of that.
I miss those kind of specials. They need more of those now. That would be
it's
so
great.
great.
Oh, it's just Marty. It just bring Marty to do it. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like anyway. So, one of the guests who worked for many days on the show was Rue McClanahan.
Oh,
And so I was on set and I just attached myself to her.
yeah.
And I was probably 11 or 12 at the
Oh.
time. And I have all these pictures of me like leaning over and sitting on her lap while she's talking to me. And like
Oh my God, please text me a picture of that. Please. I need
Wow.
to see
at my dad's house. All of those
Okay.
pictures are at my dad's house. So I'd have to have him. I could get him to send them to me.
that. Please.
But what I remember, and we're wearing like the crew jackets too.
Oh.
And I remember her being the most warm, sweet,
Mm.
extraordinarily cool, kind of regular lady.
Yeah.
And I, it was, I just, it's that warmth that and how much she embraced. I think she loved having a kid around on the set,
Yeah. And let's be real. I mean, she probably knew you were a little gay kid. And she was like, come, try on this coat, girl.
I'm not sure I was masking it all too well to the outside world, but yeah, I mean, oh, and I remember what I remember also. Well, I can actually tell you the year. It must have been 76 or 77, 1976 or 1977, because it was the same summer, 76, because it was where I heard the Chorus Line soundtrack for the first time, which changed my life.
I love homosexuals. I really do. The
And
fact that you can pinpoint years by the release of a chorus album, I love
the Chorus Line original Broadway cast recording, that was that same summer.
Yeah.
So it was a very big gay year for me. But again, I didn't know I was gay.
That's how I was. I have that. It doesn't involve the girls, but it does involve the summer or the year 1992, because I remember there was the trifecta of The Bodyguard, A League of Their Own, and Batman Returns, and I immediately was like, I only care about the women. I think I'm a homosexual. Like,
Yeah,
I think I know this is happening for me.
I wouldn't have put the two and two together. I didn't at all. But
Wow.
but when you look back, it's like a neon city with it.
Well, so speaking of Rue, did you have any like adult interactions with her years later?
No, I never
No.
did. But I just really have those pictures and those memories of, spending time with her and her like kind of playing with my hair and like just me sitting there.
Oh.
and watching them do their thing in this bubble of a world.
You'll
And,
Wow.
you'll
yeah,
love
loving it.
you'll love this, that I don't know if it was the first or I only met her twice, Rue McClanahan. One was at Comics when she was promoting Sordid Lives, and she did a thing at Comics in New York. There's a comedy club in New York years ago. And she was promoting Sordid Lives. And then the other one was when her book came out, and she had a book release party at, wait for it, Barracuda. And
You're fucking whole. Are you kidding me?
yes,
She had a book release party at Barracuda.
at Barracuda, and this homosexual was there with, this isn't her book, but with book in hand, being like, please sign my book, Miss McClanahan. And
Or do you want to do a bump in the bathroom with me?
yes, that too. I mean, she loved a homosexual on a level that, like, I mean, I think when we're going down the tier of the women who they all loved homosexuals, but like, I think Rue McClanahan was able to hang with homosexuals really well, and Bea Arthur knew that she was the queen of homosexuals.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
She didn't try to want to hang. She didn't want to hang. She wasn't going to the gay bar, but she was there to be praised.
Yeah, if you look at like her, like the performances that she does, the musical performances, the stage performances that she does, she knows her audience.
Well, so I guess to wrap things up with you, because I don't want to take too much of your time, but like you like us, your life is not only, I wouldn't say dictated, but scripted by the Golden Girls in a lot of ways, and you're a massive fan of the Golden Girls, just like us. So what is it to you as a creative person, someone who really has created, like with Hairspray, has created work that like people like the Golden Girls, fans respond to the Golden Girls just like fans of Hairspray respond to that film in the way that, because of what you did. So what creatively do you love about the Golden Girls?
It's heart, and because no matter how a field, and there's an honesty and a deep authenticity with each of the characters, and also they are truly the predating Sex and the City girls.
I mean, yeah.
And they were the ways in which they spoke so candidly and honestly about a variety of things. And, it's like no secret that like on sitcoms, it's like 75% of the jokes are sexual.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's just kind of where it's like the formula. And it's and entendres and double entendres and all that. So, and triples. But they knew what to do with that while maintaining a deep sense of who these women were. I mean, what's super crazy to me is, what's crazy to a lot of people, was that we think of those women as being much older than they actually were and were playing on the show. They were playing people who are all younger than me. And I am, and yet they were in this kind of retiree moment of their life kind of ideology. And even though they all had various jobs and stuff, but it's, they were sort of searching for purpose in their next chapters, you know what I mean? But it was sort of couched as their final chapter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As the last chapter. And I was like, at this point, women that age, that's the one before the next chapter.
Yeah.
And so, but what for me always resonated was that the sharpness of the wit and the absolute running towards, there was no joke that was done halfway.
Yeah.
There was softness to it. There was an enormous amount of emotion and sensitivity to it. It has extraordinary heart that is completely evergreen, and the jokes are fucking evergreen.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe like a Burt Reynolds joke isn't playing the same way as it once did.
Still hits me.
It still hits me too. But it's like, but the joke behind that and all that is still the same joke now.
Yeah.
It's like that is a completely the writing on the show and that cast is.
Well, so to piggyback off that a little bit, I would love to know from you, as someone in the biz.
By the way, and they were all assassins. There was no junior person in
Yeah,
there.
no.
Mm-hmm.
They were all comedy assassins of the highest
Yep.
order.
Yeah. And well, so as someone in the biz, like before that, there was the representation of older women in any capacity, either in film or television, was really rare. I mean, you have the examples of like Terms of Endearment or like, and that was just a couple of years before Golden Girls, but like it didn't happen all that often in entertainment. And then after the Golden Girls, just even in your own work, you have like Michelle Pfeiffer in Hairspray. She returned to acting essentially for Hairspray after taking a very long break at a certain age when women are not getting cast in films like that. Bringing Down the House is a great example. Even Only Murders in the Building, the way that I mean, Meryl Streep has always been lauded, but you know what I mean? That like there's this celebration of actresses of a certain age, quote unquote. Do you think Golden
Jean
Girls?
Smart and Hacks.
Jean Smart and Hacks, great example. Do you think Golden Girls changed the way we look at women of a certain age in television and film?
You know, it's interesting because I wasn't around during I had no consciousness of how older women were perceived sort of immediately after that show or when it went off the air. I have always loved older women
Same.
in film and television and kind of the texture that they add in their perspective. It's, you know, the wise old mother, you know, like from The Women or something like that, going, you know, telling her to stay with the husband who's cheating on her. Like that's not a thing. Like I don't, but and there was always those kinds of women around, either to scold or to comfort. But having a lot of feelings of their own, I think, began with the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
I think like certainly exploring. Well, in the 70s, we had certain. No, they were never that age though, about women exploring their sexuality.
Yeah.
You know, that started to kind of bubble at the end of the 60s and the 70s for sure. But I think the Golden Girls were the ones who said like, no, 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 we are dimensional people who have all of the feelings
Yeah.
and have all of the fears. And that opened up a door to to future perception.
Amazing.
I think it had to have. I don't know culturally if it couldn't have, because you can't put a genie back in a bottle.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
it's like the toothpaste out of the tube. It's like, so now it's just what do we do with that, and how do we I don't know that we've ever found another, you know, truly cultural moment in television that did the same kind of thing.
Mm.
But certainly in film, I don't think I mean, and a lot of people could argue with me, and I'd be very open to that conversation, is I see more opportunity than ever. You know, there is an audience. I mean, Meryl Streep didn't hit her box office stride until she was like 60.
Yep.
And
Sandra Bullock is even an example of that. I mean, you look at like The Proposal. That's a woman in her 50s who is
Sandy,
killing it.
Yeah, which Sandy, like that was, so look at me about to take credit for something. So Anne Fletcher, who directed that, is my best friend.
Yes.
And she met Betty on the set of Bring Down the House.
Oh.
Wow.
I made that connection for them there. So when she was making The Proposal, it was a very quick go-to for her.
Well, can we talk
We
about
love Betty and the Proposal.
Can we talk about Miss Anne Fletcher for a second then, since now in lieu of you being best friends, Hocus Pocus 2, The Proposal. I mean, come on, it just literally Dumplin'. I loved Dumplin'.
Get her on the show.
I love her. Please, we'll text her for us. I'll have her on. Let's have her on. I love Anne Fletcher. I'm obsessed. When I interviewed Betty White, or not Betty White, excuse me, Bette Midler for Hocus Pocus 2. And the amount of love that Bette Midler has for Anne Fletcher and what
that is so great to hear. I love that. They were pissed off at me, those ladies. Woo, because I was supposed to direct the movie.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember reading that actually.
Yeah, and that and Disenchanted came up at the same time during COVID, and I couldn't do both at the same time. So I ended up producing Hocus Pocus and said, Anne, let's, and I said to Disney, like, what about Anne? And yeah, everybody, and Harrison, everybody said,
What a
great.
problem to have. I can't choose between directing Bette Midler and Hocus Pocus 2 or Amy Adams in Disenchantment. I don't know what to do.
It was hard because, I'm so close to those women.
It's a real Sophie's choice.
It was literally, it was a rough one. That was not those were not good days when I had to call Sarah Jessica and Bette and Kathy and go like, I'm not doing the movie. That wasn't fun. But Mom Anne did a great job.
Yes.
And I couldn't be more proud.
It's great.
I mean, it was a hit for Disney. It was fantastic. Adam, you were fantastic. One day, because now that I'm thinking of Disenchantment, like I'm thinking of like Amy Adams and how angry I am as a homosexual that she has not won an Academy Award. So someday, you and I will, over brunch or something, be very angry over that because I need to talk with someone who understands how angry I am.
But nothing would make me happier.
Where can people follow you? I mean, all they need to do is go search your movies and watch all your movies. But like, where can they follow you and what you're working on next?
I just finished a movie called The Man with the Bag for Amazon. It's a Christmas movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Alan Ritchson, and Awkwafina. And that will be coming out actually not until Christmas 26. But it's very sweet. It's very funny. It's very kind of great old school, large scale comedy.
Fun.
Yes. We need more of those.
Yeah. Very, there's a lot there. It's pretty dear to me right now. I mean, I'm still working on it, so it's like obviously in my head a lot. And then I believe I'm doing a project that you will hear about soon. That is on a completely different scale. It's an indie and working with a bunch of people that you know, but I can't talk about it yet. And then, but you can find me on my socials. I think my Instagram is Adam Shankman.
Yeah, well, I'll link it in the show notes for this.
Yeah, Adam Shankman, and my home address is
Adam.
I don't remember him.
You're a gem of a human, and we thank you so much.
Really nice to see you guys.
And we are back with our golden takeaways, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or the lives of our I bit my tongue. Or the lives of our listeners.
Keep going. Push through the pain.
I'm gonna. I'll start because Kerri wanted me to. My golden takeaway from this chat with Mr. Adam Shankman is how much I want great comedies to come back to the movies. I've talked about this in interviews before with Melissa McCarthy and other great comedians about sort of comedy and film and how it does seem like everything immediately is either going to be a serial like for shows or is going to be on a streaming thing. And there's just no big, great comedies that they're investing in. And it's all these like superhero movies or franchise movies or whatever it is. And we do have like Naked Gun coming out, which is a big comedy, but like, I want more comedies. I want more fun comedies, musical comedies like Hairspray, or like silly comedies or romantic comedies like The Wedding Planner, or like whatever it is. Like I want them, and I want Adam to direct most of them.
Yeah, I think that's
my golden takeaway.
I think that's a great golden takeaway. Yeah, I remember like waiting for that big summer comedy movie to come out, like when you were a kid and you and your friends would all go to the theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's so like the scary movies, and those aren't even like great comedies, but they're fun. They're
going to see Ace Ventura or Dumb and Dumber. Yeah.
Yeah. Any of them. It's just
the Santa Claus.
That even like something.
All movies I saw in theaters when I was a
Regular
kid.
Milk's fine. That's what Michael always quotes from that movie.
Wait, from what movie?
It's the most random line from Santa Claus. Michael, there's the Denny's scene where they go to Denny's and then the kid goes, I don't think they have chocolate milk. So then he says, maybe I'm confusing it, but he says, regular milk's fine. And Michael says it all the time.
Wow. I mean, that quote is right up there, probably in like the top 10 most quoted movies of all time. Like, We're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat,
Yep.
Rosebud, Regular Milk's Fine.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, right up there, right up there.
Yeah.
My golden takeaway is, during our conversation with Adam, he talked about growing up a kid in Hollywood. His dad was a manager. And so he did have all these experiences where he was like constantly around famous people.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of when I was a kid and I so badly craved that kind of childhood that I lied to a couple of girls in my class and told them that I was related to Shannon Doherty. Rest in peace. Wonderful actor. I told them I was related to her because this was like the height of 90210. And then they were like, do you think if we wrote her letters, like she would write back? And I was like, sure, we can try. So we all like sat down like on the playground one day and like wrote letters to her. And I was like, cool, I'll put these in the mail and then maybe she'll write back. And then of course she never did. And I never mailed them and I threw them in the trash. And then I would be like, she's so busy. But I talked to her this weekend. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you did not grow up in Hollywood as a child, you can still fake it. Fake it till you make it.
That's so Hollywood. That's so Hollywood.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my golden takeaway.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, this was such a fun episode.
Yes. And this was a great episode. Great chat with Adam. And we will catch everybody back here next time for more Golden Girls greatness. Thank you all so much for listening. We love you all. And remember, you can join the GGVIP Club at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. It starts as little as $5 a month. We do Golden Girls live watch along parties, which we're going to do another one in August very, very soon. We'll be announcing that date. And it's just a blast. It's just a great community of fun people. And we have a wonderful time doing it.
We really do. It's so much fun. Oh my God. And you know what? You can listen to us on Moguls of Media. So go there and do that. And then you can also follow us on the socials at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, or maybe Golden Girls Pod on Facebook. Or you could even, I don't know, this is crazy, but you can follow me at HAlanScott and Sadie Pines on most things.
And I'm Squidsy on Instagram and Squid Eat Squid on Twitter. And if you want to do something else nice for the podcast, you can rate us and review us wherever you get this podcast, because then that just helps people discover our podcast and join our lovely kick-ass community of Golden Girls fans.
We really are kick-ass, even though I don't like doing that because it's physical. And remember,
as always,
stay golden. Renee.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.